Hello guys, welcome to this stream. This is the Cold War server. I think there's about 6 players on here, so not too many. There's a F5 Tiger by the looks of it. As usual, everyone's flying the fast jets and I'm flying the slow jet. There's no external views on this server. I'll try and save the track and replay it afterwards as a cinematic. Pretty good fun flying this plane, the Saber. There's 2 different types of the Cold War Saber, like of the Korean War era Saber. There's one. The wing is different. There's one with some leading edge slats on the wings. What do we got here? He's taking off. And there's one with the wing that's swept back further. The root of the wing is back 3 inches, and the tip of the wing is back 6 inches. So it's called the 3-6 wing. So there you go. And this is the latter. It's the 3-6 wing without the leading edge slats. There's no leading edge slats on this one. And it also has wing gates. You can see a wing gate right there, which apparently allows it to outturn the MiG-15 at high altitude. I don't know if that's the case though. Where is that F5? Where's he gone to? I just totally lost him. Yep, my engine's in the green. He's just vanished. I'll never see him again. Apparently the maximum altitude of the MiG-15 was 54,000 feet, and the max altitude of the Saber was 51,000 feet, or maybe it was 55 versus 51. The 15 had a slight advantage over the 86 in altitude. According to Discovery Channel, the maximum takeoff weight for the Saber was 20,000 pounds. 20,000 pounds for the Saber max takeoff weight. For the MiG-15, max takeoff weight was 13,000 pounds. So the MiG-15 was a heck of a lot lighter than the Saber, and therefore its rate of climb was a lot higher than the Saber's rate of climb. Hey, there's something. To 45. Oh, that's the moon. To 45,000 feet. To 45,000 feet, the MiG-15 was a full 3 minutes faster. I think it was something like 9 minutes to 45,000 feet for the MiG-15, and 12 minutes to 45,000 feet with the Saber. So it was slower at climbing. MiG-15 also had cannon. I think it had a 20mm cannon and a 3.7 centimeter cannon. That one was a whopper. Whereas the Saber had 6 50 caliber machine guns, sometimes 8. This one I believe has 6, 3 each side of the air intake on the nose. The MiG-15 doesn't do well in the transonic speed range, whereas the Saber, you can dive the Saber and you can go through the speed of sound in a dive. The Saber also has a one-piece elevator for the tail. The tailplane is an elevator, one-piece unit, and that helps it in the transonic speed region. Whereas I believe the MiG-15 doesn't have that feature. So that's an advantage that the Saber has at that really high speed area. But most of these dogfights take place at Mach 0.7, so here's your Mach indicator. I'm currently doing 6.4 or Mach 0.64, and most dogfights take place at about this kind of speed. I think this plane does best at about 0.7. You go faster than that, you can dogfight for sure, but you've got a much more increased risk of blacking out and pulling excessive Gs with just a slight move of the control stick. So Mark 0.7 seems to be where it's at for dogfighting. And at that range, the ability to operate well at transonic speed doesn't matter at all. So that negates the Saber's advantage. If you're in a Saber and you're in trouble against a MiG-15, probably you could dive and get away because you're a lot faster and a lot more controllable in the dive. Whereas if you're in a MiG-15 and you need to escape, you can probably just climb and climb away. I believe, I'm a bit unsure about it, but I believe the Korean War finished at the end of 1953. I could be totally wrong about that. I'm just going by what I remember from the Discovery Channel documentary. I think it was October 53 or something. So this Saber that I'm flying here, it's equipped with 2 missiles. It's got 2 antiquated early Sidewinder missiles. Obviously, there's another plane, F5, probably the same one. Obviously, this plane didn't have any missiles on it during the Korean War, but I've got 2 missiles under the fuselage today. But they would have been later on in the 50s. Got the speed brakes down. Which would have been, it would have been impossible to do that without them. Now I've retracted them. I think I can't see them, so I'm just going by the sound. If they're out, you can hear them. You can also see on your control column right here, there's a switch there. I'll pull them out and in. So there you go, that's the speed brakes. Plane here, the F86 Saber. It's made by North American and it's designed by hundreds of people maybe, but the chief designer was the same guy that designed the famous World War II Warbird, the P-51D Mustang. Same guy was the lead designer for both of those aircraft. So they share characteristics. I'm looking at the joystick on this one and it looks quite a, I don't know, it seems similar to a BF-109 grip, pistol grip or joystick grip. So that's interesting. It's not the right runway. Where's the right runway? Is that it? That's probably it there. Things don't have too much thrust, but they're very slippery and they retain energy very well. So I'm flying along with the speed brakes deployed and my speed's still in excess of 300 knots. just fixing up my track IR there a bit so I can look around. Speed's still 250 knots. 250 knots. Knots are very, very fast. 1 knot is 1.86 kilometers. A knot is a nautical mile per hour. 1 knot is 1.86 kilometers per hour. So 100 knots is what? 186 kilometers an hour. So it's almost double. So when you're landing this plane, it's good to get the speed under 150 knots. And then with the full flap and everything, and with the speed brakes out, you can aim to touch down around, I don't know, 130 knots, 120. And that seems to work pretty well. If you come in at 200 knots, you're screwed. You'll just glide down the runway, the entire runway in ground effect. Where's that F5 got to? Looks like I'm the only one here. It's really hard to punch through the sound barrier with this aircraft, even though it's capable of doing it, and the MiG-15 is not capable of doing it. It's still really hard to do it. You got to be really high, you got to be going really fast, and then put the nose down, and then hope that you can get above 1.0, Mark 1.0. Doesn't seem to be too much going on here. Go hunting, but I don't know where the enemy is. We got some jet trails up there. I believe they're both AWACS aircraft, so AI aircraft. Not very exciting. Are my guns turned on? Yes. Yes. Am I missing anything? So if I shoot the gun, will it work? Yep, it works. Maybe I should consult the map. I just got to go east. It's real challenging using this compass. It seems to be inaccurate, or it's delayed. It's really delayed. Okay, so by referencing this airfield and that lake, I figured out that 90 degrees is around about here. And if I point here for long enough, the compass should settle down eventually and point 90. Let's see what it does. So far it's pointing about 210, 220. So it's kind of stupid really. That compass should just go zoom. It's not under anything more than 1G. It should just be able to just center itself accurately. Why is it pointing at like 230 or something? And I think it's the only direction instrument that I've got in terms of, I don't think I've got a directional gyro here. I mean, there's plenty of stuff and everything, but there's a radio compass. I don't know how to use that though. There's something there. But if I keep flying in this direction, eventually I'll get to the coast. Along the way I'll probably get shot down by a MiG-21 or something using missiles and I won't even see him. What do we got there? Ah, that's the moon. False alarm. False alarm, it's only the moon. Probably going to run out of fuel soon too. Notice the nose wants to rise. My speed has picked up to cruising speed, so I'll have to adjust the trim. Let's do that now. The thing is, when you got your head buried in the cockpit and you're adjusting the trim, that compass is still pointing. Hang on, no, I made a mistake. I'm not wanting to go east, I'm wanting to go west, and I am roughly going west. It's showing that I'm going 210. I got my east and west back to front. I'm here and I want to go this way. That's basically west. Alright, so in that case the compass is pretty well good and proper as it is. Alright, good, I can trust the compass. What's it saying there? 210. Let's turn this way a bit. Let's try and get to 270, closer to 270, which is west. And you can even see it there, there's your W. Right, let me just adjust this trim and then I'll check the chat, which I haven't looked at yet. Nose down. Okay, so I've put the nose down, trim a bit. As the speed picks up some more, that'll help. I'm going to get shot down soon. Have I lifted the flaps? Yes, I have. What about the speed brakes? I can't hear them, so I think we're all good. It's in. It's in. Turbines in the green. That's good. What else? That's about it. I do have some missiles. You can switch to the missiles like this. So I'll have to remember to use those in combat. My whole aim is to find some combat. I don't think it's very likely though. And usually what happens is you just get shot down by a missile out of nowhere. Either another player or a SAM, surface-to-air missile. I think surface-to-air missile is the most likely way that I'll meet my demise in this flight, unfortunately. Because you'll just fly over one and it'll shoot you down without you even knowing. And this plane doesn't have any chaff or flares. I've got too much nose down trim now. it's over 400. I think the game nearly crashed there. Guys, expect the unexpected. We're pretty well trimmed out there. I could mess around as well with some other trim. And keeps on rolling to the right. I've put in left rudder and now we're sort of in a funky kind of a balance. Nope, we've lost balance. Oh well, I'm just going to stop falling with all the trims and everything. Speed just above 400 knots. Pretty fast. Lost a bit of altitude. Just go over here a bit. Must be getting close to the coast, I'd say. Look at this giant lake here. There really should be there should be a dedicated F86 versus MiG-15 server, and that's what there should be. But there isn't one. Not that I know of anyway. That's a smoke right there. I'd say that's probably the enemy. I will probably run out of fuel pretty soon, I'd say. Also with jets, the higher you go, the more efficient you are, so I should probably fly a little bit higher. So we got those two smokes. Enemy and friendly. I assume the friendly's blue, I don't know. The odd external view, please, says Vince. Yeah, unfortunately there's no external views on this server. This is the Cold War server, and it doesn't have an external view. Otherwise I'd be doing that. G'day Lily Trilly. Not allowed. Yeah, that's it. If they allow the F5 on the server, then I'm reckoning probably the 19 as well. The 19 is only dangerous to the F86 if it's using its afterburner. So there you go. If it is using its afterburner, it's the better aircraft, but without using afterburner, it's not that much more competitive. And it's not as manoeuvrable in a turn fight as the MiG-15. For a sip of tea, I think. I think I just got shot down by a Sam, unfortunately. So I was having a sip of tea and I got shot down. Maybe by another player, but I think by a Sam. And that was what I had predicted. Damn. What I might do is actually do another server. I'm going to do the aerobatic server. Let me try that. I'm just going to pause it for a tick, guys, and I'll be back on, hopefully, on the aerobatic server, and we'll get some external views. I'll do one flight on the aerobatic server, and that'll conclude this stream. A bit later on, I'm going to do a Red Dead Redemption 2 stream, so I hope you guys can stay around for that one too. See you in about 30 seconds. Stay tuned. "28 players. So this is the aerobatic server. And this one does have external view. And because this is an aerobatic server, there's no shooting allowed. So no combat. I still switch on my guns and everything, but I just won't shoot anyone. I don't know if custom skins are allowed. I've got a custom skin right here. Let's try it. Hopefully don't get kicked or anything. Alright, now we're getting some. I find nose wheel steering a real challenge in this. You got to press and hold S to enable nose wheel steering, and often I end up on the grass, and if you get stuck in the grass, often you get stuck permanently. So I've got the air brakes in, I've got the flaps down, I'm ready to go. And I'm going to try and find some other planes and do some aerobatics kind of stuff. Good old track IR won't let me turn around. Alright, the flaps are definitely good. That's a bit better, now I can sort of look around like normal. So, the flaps are up. I think the gear's up. Holy crap, is the gear up? Yeah, I put it up, I'm sure. I hope. You can only really tell by looking at your shadow. Wouldn't that say? If those are down, they'd probably be green. Landing GR position. The plane feels really smooth, so I'd say everything is clean. The turbine is in the green range, which is what we want, so I don't burn out the engine. I find, maybe I'm just not really perceiving it correctly, but what I find is if I operate at 100% turbine, you can do it for about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. And then after that you lose all power, and it's as though you're at idle and you can barely stay airborne. The jet engine still works, but you're no longer competitive in combat, whereas if I stay in the green range, it just seems to be able to operate indefinitely. So there's something there. Voila. This is this skin. This skin is the skin of the top scoring. I'm trying to remember. I think it was the top scoring ace of the Korean War. I could be wrong about that. There's one of the aces anyway. This is one of the aces of the Korean. So this is the plane, Utius Butch. There's the kills there. Ah, there's the name, McConnell. Is it Joe or Jack or John McConnell? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16 kills. 16 stars, 16 kills. Not bad, eh? So there's plenty of other planes out there. I just got to find out where they are. Maybe I can look at the map. Did any of them take off from my airfield? I don't think so. Where am I exactly? It's hard to look at the map because you've got no auto level. So while you're looking at the map, the plane's spinning out of control. Keep thinking that's a contrail, it's just the map. Alright, let's look at the map. Whoa, look at all this. Where am I? That's me there. And there's an F-16. Basically, I'll just go down the coast. Kind of southeast. Let's get that nose down. Alright, so am I going the right way? There's where I took off from, I think. So I'll go down the coast. This is roughly south here. So I'll just keep heading down the coast and I think I'll get closer to where there's other aircraft. Let's put the nose down a bit. Bit of a red out then. The Korean War jet conflict, someone said they couldn't really get into it, like in flight sims or whatever. I think there's not much kind of, well, there's it's not like you can go onto a dogfight server where there's 30 sabers versus 30 MiG-15s. Such a thing don't exist. You'd be lucky to get into the Cold War server with, I think in the peak time the Cold War server has good numbers, but that's out of my time zone. I don't know exactly when that is. But all the aircraft that are in the Cold War server are like the F5 and the MiG-20 something, the MiG-21. And if you fly a Sabre, you just get eaten alive. There's almost zero combat specifically between Korean War aircraft, Sabre versus MiG-15. But if you want to look at jet combat, the reason why the Sabre and the MiG-15 are significant is because they're the planes that actually took part in jet combat, jet air-to-air combat. I reckon in general, like World War I and World War II, piston engine aircraft combat is by the tens of thousands of aircraft. JG-52 of the Luftwaffe was the highest scoring fighter unit or squadron or whatever, and they shot down 20,000 enemy aircraft. 20,000 JG-52. So you get the idea that the numbers with propeller plane air combat are astronomical. With jet aircraft, you're clutching at straws. There's hardly any combat in history between jets. But where there is, particularly, is the Sabre versus the MiG-15. We're talking combat in the hundreds of jets over, I don't know, a few years. And so that's one reason why it's significant. There was also jet gun versus gun. It's another thing, so it's pre-missile. Right, so there's a airfield there. I wonder if anyone's there. I can see choppers on the ground. My radar gun sight is twitching as it's picking up objects on the ground. It's picking up it's picking up the terrain, and it's starting to find a range. At least that's what I. Alright, I think I'm slowly getting this track IR sorted out. It's my own fault. I needed to set it up before I started this, but that's a bit better. I can also press F5, which is to lock onto other aircraft. So if there's any other aircraft in my area, pressing F5 will highlight that by pointing the view at that direction. From what I can see, everyone else is further down the coast. I don't know why they do it, but they park you on an airfield that's miles away from anyone else. So if you want to do any kind of flying with other aircraft, you've got to fly for 15 minutes before you can get. Really sucks, man. Really sucks. Look at that smog trail. I love it. 1950. Speed looks to be about 480 knots. according to the info bar on the bottom there, 950 k's an hour. Not bad. We're just under the speed of sound. Alright, I'm coming up in about 2 minutes to an area where there's a lot of other aircraft. So as long as I don't run out of fuel, don't crash, the game doesn't freeze or crash, then I think we're going to be in for an interesting time, a good time. There's a cross airfield down there. That cross airfield, I think that's where they're at. There's some congregated there. No, they're closer than the cross airfield. There's another, just a single strip up here. Maybe that's it there. Somebody moved to spectator due to high-speed taxi. I can see a plane down there, it just launched a flare. So you can't do a high-speed taxi, although that was 139 knots. Must have took off from a taxiway. Which I think, well, someone crashed out. I think they don't allow you to do that. Whatevs. So someone's crashed out, someone took off and fired a flare. I seem to be pushing up against the speed of sound here. Mark 0.95. Now that I'm here, I don't really want to be going this fast. Someone's got a smoke. Let's catch up to him. What is my... Okay, my engine's in the green. Let's catch up to this guy. These guys are all much faster than I am, is one thing. Except for maybe this guy, he looks like a hawk or something. No, he's an F-18. Put on the brakes. Alright, that F-18 did a routine and then it's landing. And then there's another plane there. I heard a sonic boom as well, that was pretty cool. Look at this. This one's a bit closer to my speed range, although it's still a lot faster than I am. This is a vegan. Vegan, 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 vegan. He's very slow flying, this vegan, very slow flying.